You're now locked into Zone 32.
Max Mikado, Grant Durflinger, Jake Miller.
Only on NeutralZoneInfractions.com.
NZI Properties.
And ladies and gentlemen, we're back at it again. It's a Zone 32 podcast presented to you by Neutral Zone Infraction. Follow us on Twitter at NZI Properties and online at NeutralZoneInfraction.com. Your boy Max is back along with Jake and Grant. Fellas, say what's up to the people.
Max is back. Jake, let him know what the bear did.
This man bested that fucking bear just like fucking Gandalf bested the Balrog in Lord of the Rings. Max returns to us as Max the Might, like Gandalf the White, because he's back and he bested that damn bear in the woods better than DiCaprio did in The Revenant. You know what it is.
Thank Jesus.
Well, hey, at least I didn't die yet. That can be tomorrow. But for right now, we got a show to do. So, Jake, hey, I need you to catch me up on all the shit that I missed while I've been laid up and incapacitated and otherwise trying to fight that goddamn bear and claw my way out. So, hit me with everything that's happened in the past, let's say 2 weeks.
So some shit happened. The Pro Bowl happened. We'll talk about that later probably. Instead, I want to talk about the AFC and NFC championship game. The Ravens weren't in it because the Bills are pieces of garbage, but hey, it's all right. The Bills came to Kansas City, and they got smacked down by the old Kansas City Chiefs, as I didn't expect them to get beat that bad, but they did. They got embarrassed and completely outclassed. So Kansas City is on the way back to possibly repeat for the Super Bowl. And to play them, the Packers hosted the Tampa Bay Bucs at Lambeau Field for the NFC Championship game. And while there may have been a bit of controversy with how the game ended and a certain call that was made, the Bucs, nonetheless, in Tom Brady's first season in Tampa with a new team, are going to the Super Bowl. And Brady has a chance to win the most Super Bowls among any player in any team in NFL history. So yes, that's where we're at. The Packers lost. The Bills lost. David Culley's the new coach of the Houston Texans, so the Ravens are getting 2 comp picks, courtesy of the Houston Texans. Thank you. Mark Ingram is gone, unfortunately. He's a good man, kind of looked like a sugar bear a little bit, all those Teddy Grahams. But you know, I'm gonna miss that man. Big trust, whoop whoop. You know what to do. Then let's see. We'll talk about the other news, like good old Matthew Stafford going to LA a little bit later. But yes, as far as I can remember, that's everything that has transpired in the Super Bowl. Oh, and also the Chiefs having the COVID outbreak with their center and their receiver.
In a nutshell.
In a nutshell. That's a pretty big nutshell. I mean, shit. Of course, in the year of COVID, only then would Tom Brady go to a new team and then end up being the first team to host a Super Bowl, technically, in the same city. And I guess
our team.
I mean, what are they gonna call themselves? Titletown now? I mean, you had the Rays.
No, they basically have a Pro
good.
Bowl roster.
They're good. Let's not go that far. It's not like Kevin Durant going to the Warriors or anything. The Bucks are good, but they're not the fucking monsters.
Well,
they got some good players though, like Jack Barrett and JPP. That back end still isn't very good. I'm just saying, this is not going that far to where everything's stacked in favor of Tom. Though that team is good.
Yeah, like
they
a
are
Jenga
good.
block at a bar.
Oh, they ain't stacked. They're a good team. They were a good team, and Brady took them over the top.
They added a lot of contribution to help him along the way since he got there. Playoff Lenny's really came on strong. The back end of the defense, Antoine Winfield was a rookie, but he really developed through the year, and he's been a high caliber player on the back end. I'm a brain fart, but the other safety, and then 24, I can't remember his name either, but Mr. Lockdown that put the clamps. But I mean, listen, I mean, they were a good roster. I mean, they had a lot of guys that were young, developed, coming back, getting healthy again. I mean, their front four is phenomenal in defense. Their linebacking core is probably the two best linebacking, or the best linebacking core in the NFL right now. He's in a very favorable situation. He's in a way more favorable situation than when he left and Billy B's been stuck with the mod squad over there. But, it's one of those things where he's still got to play quarterback and he's still got to win the game. So I can't discredit him there. but he is with a damn all-star team. And then AB comes out of nowhere. He's not crazy anymore. And then he's like Mr. Number One target, 10 to 12 targets a game. It's like, damn, you done played everybody. That thing was a setup from the jump.
Look, guys, I'm telling you, this whole thing has been predetermined. Before we get into the preview of the game, which is the meat of why we're here today, look, how is it that Tampa suddenly, between the Bucs being in the Super Bowl, hosting the Super Bowl, then you got the Rays, you got the Lightning. I mean, they're hosting freaking WrestleMania for the second year in a row, technically, but they're gonna make all this tourism revenue off of that, off of 2 nights on top of that. Like, there's got to be some sort of conspiracy where somehow Tampa, might have greased some hands here and just managed to pull off this amazing, amazing run of like just sports and entertainment that has never been seen for any other town, maybe besides Miami or Pro Player Stadium hosting the Super Bowl. And then you had the Dolphins with their run almost winning the Super Bowl and almost being the first team to host and all that. Look, I don't understand what's in the water in Florida. I don't get it. It doesn't make any sense.
To that point as well, if you want to throw in the NBA in there with the Miami Heat going to the finals and losing to the Lakers, I feel you. Yes, all 4 of the major sports Florida teams have gone to the Super Bowl. Now, that receiver core is stacked. I'll give you that. They are stacked. AB, Chris Godwin, Mike Evans, that grown-ass man.
Scooter!
The good old Scooter who's taking the
And
top.
our homeboy, Mr. Tyler Johnson.
Yep, he is damn good. He's a damn good youngster.
Man, he gets better every game, doesn't he? Did you I know you watched because you ISO'd on him because we talked about that last time. Like every time I see him, like even when he doesn't catch the ball, we're still looking, and like his routes and shit are just crisp. He's a smart football player.
Absolutely. Every time he gets onto the field, he usually makes a play or Brady's looking his way. So I mean,
yeah.
Not to mention with AB going to free agency, with Chris Godwin going to free agency, it wouldn't be that crazy if they left. Tyler Johnson winds up being the number 2 receiver in Tampa. We've touched on that before, but I mean, hey, it could very well happen. He's good enough to make that happen too.
Could you see them pulling a complete fast one and re-signing AB and Godwin and trading Mike Evans?
Oh, please don't. Let's not wish that on us and the rest of the NFL. I want Godwin to go as far away from Tampa as possible, not because he's bad and not for any particularly negative reason, just because I don't want to see him suddenly have another breakout year. Like, no, I love Chris Godwin, by the way. Shout out to my Delaware boy, Chris Godwin.
I think he's playing hurt. If you want me to be honest, I think he's playing hurt. He's moving like he's playing hurt, which, I mean, he's got that, like, heart to him, and he would never admit it, and they're not going to come out and say anything. But the way that he's been playing, like, the second half of the season, not saying he's been playing bad, but he's just not he's not the explosive receiver that he's been the past couple of years. And sometimes he kind of pulls up a little early. And I noticed that like a few weeks, like I would probably say like 4 or 5 weeks back, I noticed that. And he just didn't look like himself. But I think he's honestly playing hurt. And then like to go back to your point about the Tampa thing, I lived outside of Tampa for a little over a year in Sarasota. And Tampa has awful sports fans. Outside of the Tampa Bay Lightning, they have the worst sports fans. That's the only city that you can go to an ALCS game for like $20. Like, it's crazy. Like they can't get anybody in the seats at the Ray Stadium at all. I mean, it sucks. It's indoors. It's a nasty old dome, but still, man, you have a relevant team. Like, yeah, and like the Bucs. I mean, you see the Bucs. Yeah, now they've got fans there, but they're the ones that won't buy seats sooner than anybody. Like, at least like even the Ravens' bad years, we had sold out stadium. We had that record streak until all the bull crap with people just having different opinions on stuff. But until then, we had a perfect streak of sold out games, no matter even through the bad years. And like the Bucs, they have one, like even if they start off losing, their stadium's empty. And it's like, man, that's crazy.
That's true. All right, so let's do this then, guys. So Grant, I'm going to start with you. With this Super Bowl coming up this upcoming Sunday, you've got 2 teams which I consider this among the worst case scenarios of the remaining playoff field because, I mean, truth be told, I have no beef with the Chiefs, but I didn't really want to see them threaten to repeat. I would have preferred the Bills in that spot. And in the same token, I mean, Tom Brady is still Tom Brady. We'll give him all due respect, but I don't want to see him, threaten to add more to his legacy. So, Grant, starting with you, what are you looking for in this game and probably the least favorable matchup for us to watch as Ravens fans? And then from there, Grant, kick it over to Jake for his thoughts.
So this, for me, is like the equivalent, this is the Super Bowl equivalent of me having to decide between the Browns and the Steelers for the AFC Championship game. It's like, dang, can't they both tie? Or as Max usually says, can Bane come out? I don't, it's so weird. Like, one of my best friends is a diehard Chiefs fan, and it's so weird because I don't like them, because I even texted him today about it. And they're like the new Patriots. They get those favorable calls. And we'll go back to the thing where people say, oh, a call doesn't, change a game. Yes, it does. If it's in a certain situation in the game, it can change the game. I mean, what was the Chiefs' offensive holding calls this year? I think that when they played the Ravens, they didn't even have one called the entire game. And I know I for sure saw at least 3 rock bottoms and maybe a figure 4 leg lock on Judon one time. But it's like, man, that's just kind of weird. That's a weird situation. So that makes me not like them. And Pat Mahomes, I mean, I can't remember. I was watching something. It was yesterday, and I don't remember if it was something that Brady was making a joke about or something. It was a player, and he was like, "Yeah, I can't run back 15 yards and just throw it and complete it to somebody." No other quarterbacks do that. It just pulls shit out of his ass. People are there. I mean, the fourth down was a 4th and 12 with Tyreek last year when he just turns around and throws it up. Or no, it was 2 years ago when he just turns around, throws it up in the air, and you got, I think Mosley was in coverage, and he's just standing in the middle of 3 people. A terrible throw, something they tell you not to do, and any coach will tell you not to do the throws that he does. And somehow he's just right there, boom, first down. They end up winning the game. But no other teams do that. So their level of rattiness is why I don't like them. And it just means that they just get stupid breaks and calls, and everything just seems to go their way that doesn't go anybody else's way. And that's not, they're a talented team, very well coached. I mean, Andy Reid's the man, and Benhamy's a hell of an offensive coordinator. But it's weird because I don't like Patrick Mahomes because of that. And his wife really annoys me. So, I mean, it's weird. But, yeah, man, I just want him to do bad so I don't have to see her videos on Twitter. I'll be honest about it. But it's weird because I love the Honey Badger. He's one of my favorite non-Ravens. He might be now one of my favorite non-Ravens because Dez is a Raven now. I love Tyreek Hill. I've talked about it before. To me, he's the number 1 playmaking wide receiver in football, and it's not even close. Who else can you put in multiple situations, in multiple positions on the field, run jets, wildcats, streaks, goes, comebacks, corners, and every time you just throw it his way, and it's a chance for a touchdown every single time. There's no other player in football like that. And it's crazy how good he is. And then Travis Kelce, I mean, he's kind of like a douche nugget. It seems like off the field, he's really kind of cheesy and try hard. But I think on the field, he's a stud, man. He's phenomenal. He's one of my favorite tight ends. But, I mean, coming in, and then you look at the Buccaneers side, I mean, loaded, like I already talked about earlier, loaded on the defensive side, maybe questionable in a couple secondary positions. Total weapons on offense. You got playoff Lenny's rocking hard right now. I mean, he's not only playing well, but he's taken on this entire persona of playoff Lenny. He's got the T-shirts he's talking about. He's calling himself playoff Lenny. That means he's having fun with it, and he's having that entire confidence level of, this is my time. I've got people are looking at me. This is my time to shine. And somebody like that is dangerous in that type of offense with that many weapons on the outside. I think that the Buccaneers are an athletic tight end away from being phenomenal, and that's not a knock at Gronk, but Gronk isn't Gronk anymore. He makes a couple, 2 splash plays a game, might get 3 targets right now, but that offense needs a tight end that can stretch the field up the middle and be able to sit and hook on those 3rd downs, 2nd downs to extend those drives. And I mean, I think the Bucs have a legit chance. I mean, the Chiefs, as dominant as they have been and as good as they have been, they've had how many games they quote unquote should have lost. And they're not the team that's blowing teams out anymore. They're not shocking the world. They're getting splash plays that keep them in games. And, I think that the Buccaneers, and not even to mention the Chiefs offensive line, pretty sure they called me to play left tackle this week. They're beat up, they're moved around. They're not a solid unit to go into a game like this. And that front four for the Bucs is going to create problems. Between Shaq Barrett and JPP alone, that Vita Vea's back. He's got 2 games under his belt. Man, watch out. Vita Vea might eat this game because they're not going to run the ball. The last game they played was a week 12. Buccaneers came back and made it a game, but Tyreek Hill had over 200 yards in receiving in the first half. Like, when does that happen? Like, you just can't let him do those things to you and you're okay. Like, they tried to oversimplify the middle of the field and watch, the run game, because that was right after the Bills got gashed by Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Watching Travis Kelce, kind of making sure he's not getting his 12 catches a game for $150, But if you do any type of isolation of one-on-one on Tyreek Hill, you're cooked. Like, you have to lean him. And, we're going to probably look into this a little bit more, but, it's going to be a good game. I mean, I'm not sure if we're doing predictions right now in our X factors, but, we'll get into that.
You know what? Let's do predictions and X Factor. Why the heck not? We're gonna throw out the whole format of the show anyway.
We doing scores too?
Let's give me all of it, Grant. Give me everything you got.
So this is like me choosing between Tom Brady and the team I don't like right now. I went 0-2 last weekend, but I felt really confident about it. Bills let me down a little bit. Aaron Rodgers, he didn't let me down. His team let me down. But I'm still taking the underdog, man. I don't know what it is, but I love that Bucs defense, and I think they are going to give problems. Home field advantage isn't really a thing, but it's something different to play in the Super Bowl at home the first time ever. I think that, when I look at matchups across the board, I think, you look at quarterback matchups, Mahomes has the edge right now. You look at offensive line matchups, Bucs have the edge. You look at tight end matchups. Chiefs have the edge. Running backs, Bucs have the edge to me. Receivers, I think, is an all-around unit. The Bucs have the edge at receivers. I mean, outside of Tyreek Hill, you're not messing with AB, Tyler Johnson, Scooter, Mike Evans, Godwin. It's not going to happen. I mean, that's a matchup there. And then you look at the defensive side of the ball. Defensive line, Bucs. Linebackers, Bucs. Corners, Bucs. Safeties, I'd probably take the Chiefs just because of Tyrann Mathieu. Special teams unit. I mean, Mr. Butker, ever since he got cocky, he's been automatic to miss almost an extra point a game. That's a liability. Return game, neither one of them. I mean, you look at McCole Hardman, I'd give the Chiefs the edge in that aspect for special teams. But when you look at all that across the board, I mean, the Bucs are on top. All they have to do is just execute their game plan. So I'm taking the Bucs. My X factor is the defensive line. I'm expecting JPP and Shaq Barrett to combine for 4.5 sacks. And I am going to take the score is going to be 34-31 Bucs.
Wow. So you're predicting the upset, but also in a close final score. Very ballsy. Jake, your rebuttal.
That's ballsy, my guy. That's ballsy. And admittedly, I was going to play the contrarian this week regardless, but I'm not going to lie. Leading up to this game, I really didn't know who to pick. I could see it going either way. I think you hit the nail on the head with your X factor because that is exactly what's going to come down to. If the Chiefs can't protect Patrick Mahomes, the Bucs are going to win the game. I mean, we saw last week, JPP and Shaq Barrett combined for 5 sacks on Aaron Rodgers, and the Bucs went on to win 31-26. If they can dominate the game and Patrick Mahomes is uncomfortable and on his back more often than not, the Chiefs are going to lose. By that being said, last year, I watched the 49ers get off on them for 5 sacks. Mahomes complete barely over half of his passes, and they be down 20-10, and the Niners are simply outclassing them, beating them off the line, running the ball, just defense getting after Mahomes, getting a couple of takeaways, and then he just makes that play. He just goes out the shotgun, takes a 9-step drop because it takes forever to develop, and he hits a wide open Tyreek Hill because Mosley busts his coverage and the safety gets shook. So all things considered, you could do everything right, and Patrick Mahomes can still beat you. So all things considered, I'm going with the Kansas City Chiefs. Why am I going with the Kansas City Chiefs? It's Patrick Mahomes. It's I don't want to go there, but I mean he's ridiculous. You could you go back to that 4th and 9 from 2018. Quarterbacks are specifically coached not to throw back across their body. Yet he has the arm strength and the zip and the accuracy to make whatever throw he wants to, no matter whether it's a good or bad throw or not. It's ridiculous. Like he's a damn cheat code because of that. He can get out on the run, and as soon as he breaks contain from the pocket, he's got those burners on the outside. Doesn't matter if they're great or not. They can run, and if they break from their coverage, he has the arm strength to get it there for a 70 or 80-yard score from the other side of the field. So I'm taking Kansas City. My X factor, I mean, I'm not gonna say Patrick Mahomes because Patrick Mahomes isn't an X factor. Patrick Mahomes that is explicitly the reason why they will win or lose the game.
He's the X factor.
Exactly. He's the factor. You can't do that to me. I feel like that's cheap. So what X factor am I going to say? I'm going to say Sammy Watkins. Why? Because they got gashed by Tyreek Hill for over 200 yards in a single quarter. I got to imagine Todd Bowles is sitting there for these 2 weeks with their time to prepare in Tampa. Because mind you, Kansas City's not allowed to do the COVID restrictions. They're not allowed to go to Tampa until Friday. So Tampa gets all the time to just chill, relax at home, and Kansas City will have to get used to being in Florida and Florida weather for just a couple days in Raymond James Stadium where the Bucs play.
Well, we talked about it too in our playoff in the championship round that, like you mentioned, it doesn't really matter like cold weather, that type of stuff. It is in Tampa, so it's warm weather all around, but that travel day sucks.
Absolutely, it does. And only having 2 days to get prepared, even though it's not much of a time difference. I believe it's Kansas City, is still in the central while
they're still
Florida,
in the central.
Yeah. So it's an hour time difference. It's not that bad. It's like me driving to Arizona and getting used to the 1 hour forward. But even so, I'm saying Sammy Watkins. He's looking like he's going to be back this week. They might even get L'Jarius Sneed back, even though he got hurt in the last game. But that's what I'm banking on. I'm banking on one of those
really
other
well this year.
Yes, he has. And he's been hurt through most of the playoffs because they've been relying on Hardman. And with DeMarcus Robinson going down because of the COVID bit and because the rest of the team has passed all their tests and no one else has it, I'm expecting them to get to Watkins because I don't think they're going to let Tyreek Hill beat them. Travis Kelce might, even though I actually like the matchup of Devin White and Levante David covering him because they're both great in space. They can cover it pretty much anybody. I like that, but I'm going with Sammy Watkins. Let's see if Sean Murphy Bunting can stay with him because Carlton Davis, he'll get help.
Davis, that's who I was thinking of when I said 24.
He clamps on Mr. Slant, and then he got beat by the slant from old Devontae Adams. But I mean,
yeah, he did. He clamped down Michael Thomas. Old big head, sideshow Bob ass. Got cocky.
I'm just saying, he looks like an African American sideshow Bob. I'm just saying, put up the side by side on the internet when you check this. He fucking does. He looks like he's gonna do a maniacal laugh and walk into a rake. I'm just telling you.
Walk into a rake.
Y'all remember that episode? It was hilarious.
Classic. I do indeed.
Damn
Cape Fear, season 5, Simpsons. Classic.
Damn straight. But yeah,
I just remember the Irish janitor. He was my favorite.
Groundskeeper Willie. He was Scottish.
The Scotsman.
The
Scots.
Oh,
damn Scots. They live in Scotland. Scottish are surely a contentious bunch.
Do you also back to the game off the Simpsons? But do you also think that Sammy Watkins could have a big game because he's about to be a free agent and this is like a show out for him?
Ooh.
I'm not gonna doubt money motivation. Whenever I pick players for fantasy football, that's my biggest factor. Who's in a contract year? Because whoever's in a contract year, unless they get hurt, they'll ball out because they need their money. That's why I was in on Juju this year, and I was wrong. But I was in on Alabama.
Van Drew's on the Sammy Watkins train.
I wouldn't say. I know he is into it. I don't trust like that personally because again, the health issues, and not to mention, he's had one 1,000-yard season in his career. So I mean,
he looks like a Ravens signing though.
He
Not
does.
Yeah,
saying
he
he's
would
going to
be.
be the receiver we bring in, like to be like the guy. I think they're really going to try to bring somebody in via trade or via free agency. Not necessarily saying it might not be Allen Robinson, but at worst, I think it's going to be either Kenny Galladay, Marvin Jones, or Corey Davis. But I mean, I could also see some trades working out. But I could also see Sammy Watkins coming in, which the retrospect to that is everybody's like, man, draft a receiver this year. You guys need receivers this year. I'm so tired of drafting fucking receivers. We got to give the ones that we have a time to develop and be themselves and learn how to play the game. Like Prochet last year had flashes. Like every chance he got in the game, he made a fucking play. But he only got 10 plays this season, it felt like. Same thing with Duvernay. Every time he touched the ball, it was a first down. And he got limited plays. Like, I'm so sick of like our development structure. Like, let them ball. I don't care if Willie Snead's your best friend in the locker room in the entire world, John Harbaugh. Let the young bucks fucking ball if they can ball. And that's my biggest problem with this team is they don't let these receivers develop. And when they are starting to develop, you know what brings that next level is game reps.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, to your point about Duvernay, usually the play they'd run when he's in the game is the little end around when he's coming around from the slot. So now I feel you. They need more snaps. And we've been clamoring about it in the group chat forever. Duvernay deserves more snaps. Prochet too, but I mean, we've been mostly clamoring for Devin Duvernay and his athleticism. He runs physical.
He's crazy. He's a running back. He's a running back that looks like a wide receiver. And the way that this offense is, it's supposed to be made to create players in space. The running game is supposed to utilize the short passing game and the intermediate passing game. But our offensive coordinator is so inept with his own offense. And yeah, I'm just sitting on the couch or whatever, but I can tell you how to run that offense. And, you know, him being I don't know who's got the handcuffs on him, but dude, let your players play. Let your players play to their strengths. Like, it's not hard to design plays in that concept to get those guys in the slots and those guys in the wings, those guys in the Z's. Like, there's no way they should not have multiple formations, movements, and motions every single fucking snap. And they don't. And that's why some changes need to be made, in my opinion. And I'm getting sidetracked, but that motherfucker Greg Bowman pisses me off.
Which that's going to be one of our topics we're going to hit in the offseason because it's looking like we're not going to be without Greg Roman after all, at least not at this rate. So we're going to have to accept that we're going to be stuck with our signal caller for one more year. We're not signal caller, our play caller for one more year. But in the meantime, so to put a bow on this Super Bowl coming up, it looks like we are a house divided. It looks like we're one on each side, which is perfectly fine. This makes for an interesting conversation next week when we recap the game. But our last topic of the night.
Hold up.
Go ahead.
There's a tiebreaker.
No,
what are you trying to exit out of real quick?
Hey, look, I'm Switzerland. I'm neutral.
No. Jake, what do you think, bro?
Would you want my score?
No, I want Max to make a pick in an X Factor. He's trying to dodge it.
Before I forget, I should probably give y'all my score. I'm going to go.
I already forgot.
Before I forget, my X Factor is Sammy Watkins, but my score is going to be 45-42 Kansas City. We're going for a track meet, partner.
You telling me I should take the over?
Hell yeah. It's a score fest, baby.
You know what? I'm going to go a completely different direction here. I'm going to make a pick. And it's going to be in favor of the Kansas City Chiefs being back-to-back champions, #run it back. But.
Never mind, Max. Pick later in the week.
So, see, you guys are going a little high. I'm going to go low because everyone's expecting this to be a shootout. But you forget the fact that the Chiefs have a better defense than people give credit and better defense than they look on paper, if only because situationally they make the stops when they need to. On the flip side, the Bucs defense is as good as advertised. So, as a result, I do see this being a low-scoring game. I see this actually going 24-21. But on top of that, and this is low-scoring relative to the rest of the league, keep in mind, because we're talking most teams are averaging over 21 points a game. So 24-21. But that said, my X factor for this one, funny enough, even though normally the X factor would be on the winning team, I'm actually going to go with on the losing team. I'm going to agree. Jason Pierre-Paul is going to be the guy, but I feel like there's going to be something that's going to happen. He's going to break contain on Patrick Mahomes and allow Mahomes to make a big play. It's going to be a crucial first down. And that conversion either is going to be one to ice the game or one to set up a game-winning score. I'm just saying, there's something. Maybe there's something sticking out to me about Jason Pierre-Paul. Maybe it's the missing finger. I'm not sure, but either way, I have a feeling it's going to be something to do with the Bucs defense. It's going to end up costing
was
the game.
dirty. I don't know if something's sticking out.
Don't play with fireworks, kids.
But in all seriousness, no, I really do feel that this is the game that, ironically, the Bucs defense is going to lose, and not for any particular reason other than just one blown play. And that's all it really takes. With a low-scoring game like that, that's all you need. So, congrats, gentlemen. You broke my streak. I actually picked for once. I normally
That's
don't.
what I'm talking about, Mac. Sorry about the peer pressure, but we needed that tiebreaker, even though I think he went the wrong way. But no, that's. I mean, I think it's going to be a good game regardless.
Oh yeah,
and it's back to the whole thing like Jake and I were talking about with the Bills Chiefs game. If I was betting money, I'm going to bet on the Chiefs, but I want the Bucs to win. Damn it! And it's going to happen. I didn't get it with the Bills last week, but it's going to happen this week. I love that defense.
And I really don't think it's going to be a spectacular game offensively. I think it's going to remind us a lot of the Patriots-Rams Super Bowl, where I hate to say it, it's going to be a snooze fest for a good chunk of it. But I think the key difference is, and again, it's going to come down to defense. We're used to watching defense. The rest of the nation really isn't. We've grown up on defensive football with the Ravens. So, I mean, we'll be perfectly fine. We'll be Gucci just sitting there watching the game.
I'd rather a 3-0 game than a 41-38 game.
Or what was it, that shitty 16-10?
The one we lost to the Colts?
Yeah, it's whatever one the Rams lost, the one that they blew where they didn't score.
Oh, no, I thought you were talking about when McNair, was it 2006 when we went to the playoffs, that was 13-3, and we lost on all field goals?
God, yeah, to freaking, what's his face, Adam Vinatieri?
Yeah, it was like 15-6 or something, or wasn't it? Or I don't know. We lost by all field goals. I was like, we can't score one motherfucking touchdown, dude.
Yeah, and I hate to say it might feel a lot like that game, but not really to us because we don't really have a dog in the fight. So, gentlemen, our last topic of the night, and I'm sure this is one that we universally agree on. The Pro Bowl was this past weekend, or was it really? Because due to COVID restrictions, there was not a traditional All-Star game played between the AFC and the NFC, and instead there was a week-long quote-unquote celebration starting with the NFL doing their Hello Fellow Kids routine and cashing in on the popularity of Versus on Instagram by teaming up with Versus to do an NFL Pro Bowl Versus showcase where they pit some of the Pro Bowl players on each side showing highlights against one another in the weirdest rap battle I've ever seen, because that's pretty much what it was. And then on top of that, the actual Pro Bowl weekend itself consisted of a Madden tournament for, I guess it was a tournament. I didn't actually watch, but it was all Madden 21. So, Jake, I'll start with you. Your thoughts on this Pro Bowl or lack thereof?
Well, the grandstanding was annoying. It was like, oh yeah, watch my highlights because I'm this good, and then AJ Brown be like, oh yeah, I'd be as good on your offense if I got 150, 200 targets like you did, Justin Jefferson. So I ain't trying to hear all that. Then of course Jalen Ramsey and DeAndre Hopkins going back and forth, and it finally concluded with them playing each other in Madden on Sunday, if I remember right. Yeah, I didn't like it. I'm not gonna lie. I didn't watch it. I caught little snippets of it on the gram. I didn't like it. Personally, I mean, the game was a snooze fest anyway, but at least I got to see a center score a touchdown, and that's fun. That's cool. Good for the big fellas. The big fellas deserve more love than they get. But I mean, man, what are we doing? Just going to play Madden to decide who gets what check and who gets paid what for this little honorable thing. It's like, get out of here. Go back to the way it was back when they used to play. Back when Brian Moorman tried running trying to convert the fourth down, and Sean Taylor, may he rest in peace, knocked the hell out of him. That's what I'm trying to see. Go back to trying to play against the GOATs and prove that you're better than that dude, because you might not get to play them very often. Like you're going to the AFC. Back in the day, you might get an Andre Reed against Deion Sanders. That wasn't a regular matchup. Now this year, you'd get like a Jair Alexander going up against not AJ Brown, because they played each other this year. But you get a Jair Alexander going up against Keenan Allen. Chargers and Packers didn't play each other this year. Those are nice matchups to watch. or certain edge rushers going up against certain tackles. I miss that. And I miss when players try to prove themselves that they are the best of what they do instead of, hey, man, look at my season. Nah, I ain't trying to get hurt. It's good. I understand from a safety perspective, you don't want to get hurt. You want to risk your dollars. But, I mean, damn, you got the old white dude from the Rams, Jack Youngblood, playing on a broken leg, going from, what was it? I believe it was the NFC Championship, the Super Bowl, and the Pro Bowl, maybe the divisional round too. I think he played 4 consecutive weeks on a broken leg, and he could do it. So I was like, why can't you do it? I'm not trying to hear all that, man. Go back to the 2 days to get the body conditioned for violence so you don't get hurt as much. Yeah, you'll get brain damage, but it's all right because I'm going to too because I play with wires for a living. So I'll join you with that CTE. It's all good, man.
Oh, yeah. So, Grant, before I jump to you, real quick, 2 notes about the Pro Bowl. First off, this year's game checks, the game winners would have gotten $70,000, whereas the losing side would get $35,000 to pop, which is not bad if you're a mid-tier or lower player or a rookie still on their first contract. But that said, the thing I miss about the Pro Bowl guys is the legal tampering and collusion that would go on at the game, especially for the Ravens, because that's how we recruited a bunch of our folks, including most notably recently Calais Campbell. So, Grant, your thoughts on this year's Pro Bowl, even though I know you didn't watch either.
I got 2 thoughts. And it was awful. Like there was a biggest waste of time, dude. And like we talked about a little bit pre-show, and like it's cool for like the kid aspect, and like you get the Nickelodeon thing. Now you got the whole Pro Bowl we're gonna do online versus thing. Like it's not Jeezy versus Wayne. Like you sitting up here and you got 2 dudes like that don't want to be there. Clearly, like in Jake's reference, I saw like on Twitter clips of the Jalen Ramsey and the DeAndre Hopkins little exchange, and it was like, yeah, bro, I cook you. Nah, bro, remember when I didn't cook? You didn't cook me that one time. Yeah, but I did. Nah, wrong number. Like, and it was so awkward and weird, and it was corny and cheesy, and like it was so forced. And any real like football fan knows that the Pro Bowl is a joke anyways, because half the players that make it don't deserve to. And the all pros, all that matters. If you got COVID, you got COVID. You can do the votes. You do the votes. Like, it's okay. Maybe bring back the skills competition. If you want to make it something, do the skills competition. You can be socially distant in the skills competition. You're not playing football. Like, and then they did that weird ass Madden game that I don't even still understand how it was. I watched a couple clips of it on Twitter again, and it was like, I guess a player got to play, or somebody got to play each quarter or something. I don't even understand what they were trying to do. It was stupid. And they all looked like they didn't want to be there either. And it was just a joke, man. It's like, stop forcing that stuff. I agree with Jake, man. It used to be fun. And it sucked when the prima donnas, because we had like the phase of like the dogs, like the Pro Bowl in like the 90s, early 2000s, like they were trying to beat each other. They were trying to best each other. Now you got a bunch of prima donnas that are like, oh, I don't want to get hurt. Man, you could get hurt walking down the steps going to your apartment tomorrow. Like you play the game because you love the game. You make multi-million-dollars a year. There's people that play the game that don't even get paid that love it. And they do it because they love it. They don't cry about it like, oh, man, do it for the fans and shut the fuck up. Like that stuff gets annoying to me. And they had the whole era of that. Then they had the prima donna era. Then they all of a sudden had to like give a bonus so that people tried and gave a shit. Like that just shows how weak, like mentally, and they could say, oh man, we might get hurt and their career's gone, or we could do this. You went to college, didn't you? Like it's okay, man. Like, but I get it. I get it to a sense of you could have a lot of money on the line, but you could really end your shit whenever. Ask Sergio Kendall. Like, you don't ever know. And I think it was stupid, pointless, and I hope they never fucking do it again.
10% agree. And to your point about the skills challenge, look, I remember growing up watching the skills challenge like from start to finish more than I actually watched the Pro Bowl game itself. So that tells you there the value of something like that. So you're spot on with that.
Those pussies were so scared to get hurt that they stopped running the 40 in it.
But I am all in favor of, hell, I'll scrap the game itself. We don't need AFC versus NFC in a traditional 60-minute game of glorified flag football. Give me a skills challenge, position by position, AFC versus NFC and just add up the points from there. I mean, shit, that'd be more interesting. Plus, you can spread that out over the course of a week. You don't need to do it all in one weekend. So there's plenty of content for the networks right there. I digress. So, gentlemen, feels good to be back. Hopefully, we can do this again next week. But we're going to be back next week, whether I'm here or not, dead or alive. We'll be back next week to recap the Super Bowl. And we got other topics to touch on. Intentionally, we did not touch on the blockbuster trade between Jared Goff and Matthew Stafford this week because more developments are coming out, including allegations of the rift between Jared Goff and Sean McVay. Enough stuff to make days of our lives blush. And on top of that, breaking news tonight that we will touch on next week as the story fleshes out. Word out of Las Vegas from a quote-unquote reputable source that they are looking to shop Derek Carr for Deshaun Watson. Who knows how that's going to play?
John Gruden making moves, bro.
I swear, this is almost like fantasy football and Madden Ultimate Team just mashed together, but in real life, Dale.
Can you hear Gruden now? He's like, "Hey, man, remember that quarterback camp that we did back when you were coming into the draft, man? Come on, man."
Hey, I mean, look,
You want to go play for the Raiders, man?
Yeah.
Not with me.
Oh, by the way, they're not pussies because they didn't want to run. They're playing in the NFL. They're not pussies, but they have the wrong intentions. So I should clarify.
Oh, please don't apologize. So, I mean, hey, look, if John Gruden wants to run Spider Y banana with someone else, he can go run his Spider Y2 banana with someone else. It's whatever. I'm not going to begrudge him, but I don't think Derek Carr is the guy that they think he is. But that's neither here nor there. That's for next week. So we're going to let that story unfold before we break it down.
Who's the third team?
The third team? Shoot.
That's what I want to know because I sent that message out earlier. It said that there's a third team that's going to send Derek Carr somewhere, and Deshaun Watson's going to end up in Vegas. But who's the third team?
And
Colts,
so
Bengals.
that's where the plot thickens because Washington is continually floated as a trade partner. But we're not going to run with that story yet. But right now, all indications appear to be Washington, with Alex Smith potentially being thrown as part of that shuffle. So that's going to be a fun one. And of course,
What you're telling me is they have a leg up.
They barely have a leg to stand on. But anyways, that's going to do it for us for this week. So on behalf of Grant and Jake, I'm Max, back at it again. This has been the Zone 32 podcast presented to you by Neutral Zone Infraction. Follow us on Twitter at NZI Properties and online at neutralzoneinfraction.com. Gentlemen, take it away.
See ya!
Max, Grant, Jake,
Zone 32, only on neutralzoneinfraction.com.
NZI Properties.